talking women's sports.
Are you sure we need 10 minutes on this?
It'd probably be less than that, but we'll
10
see.
minutes
10
about
minutes.
Caitlin Clark. Clayton Kershaw. No, Caitlin Clark. 10 minutes.
Get her name right.
10 minutes
10
about
minutes.
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Well,
Start the
it's
timer,
more-
goddammit. We gotta make sure we're on time with this one.
Timer is already started.
Okay.
So it's quick. So I've talked to coworkers about this stuff, like what, and like why have like us as men, why don't we watch women's sports? Why haven't we ever have caught our eyes to watch?
Well, there's
sports?
First of all, there's a built-in bias there. We automatically think that men are better at sports, therefore our eyes are automatically drawn to them. I think the one of the biggest proponents of women's sports, honestly, has been women's tennis.
Women's tennis, the
Williams,
I've always caught my. I think
the Williams sisters for sure, and even before that, you think about like, Sharapova kind of had like sex appeal and stuff like that, but she was also a winner, and she wasn't like Kornikova where she only had sex appeal. Yeah. She also was a winner. But then you think about like before that, you think about like Martina Hingis, and even go longer before that, Billie Jean King and stuff like that. There was women's tennis has always been kind of on the map.
It has, yeah.
So I think that deserves a lot of credit, particularly the Williams sisters, and really kind of taking it to the next level. Now, as far as other sports, the WNBA. I mean, this is a Caitlin Clark segment. Let's call a spade a spade.
But before we get into the WNBA, let's talk what other other besides basketball. What other?
How about the LPGA, for example?
So what's that one LGBT?
She just
won.
She's
way
won,
back when.
She was going. Oh,
way back when.
Yeah, she played with the men.
Yeah,
the one that played with the men.
What was her name? You remember?
Shit.
Was it?
What is her name?
She was like Japanese.
I can't remember where
right?
I stayed last week. You want me to remember it?
Like I remember, like she was a big thing
because her dad
she dominated the
no, she didn't. She
like
struggled
like a little bit of time
because what happened is her dad pushed her to play with the men.
Yeah,
and that was a big thing. She had crossover appeal because she actually played with the men. Yeah. And didn't do well. And then when she went to the LPGA, it took her a while to get started. What the fuck was her name? Google.
Yeah, Google
that shit.
I'll put it up there. But
so we're bad with names here. We are.
I'm always horrible.
It'll
with names.
come to me like long after
but
the
you
segment's
know who
over.
we are talking about. You know who we're talking about.
So the LPGA has gotten some traction. Nothing like women's tennis, though. Again, to kind of highlight that, women's tennis has always been much bigger than. Particularly with like Wimbledon and U.S. Open and stuff like that. The Williams sisters kind of really took it to the next level. So women's soccer kind of deserves a lot of credit, winning the World Cup. I mean, that was a big deal.
2000 was it early 2000s?
They've won it multiple times, I believe.
Well, what was the big one where like that one? What I remember was took her shirt off, did the little slide.
Yeah.
What year was that? Remember, was it early 2000s or 99?
I don't know what year that was, but it was a big deal.
But it was a big deal. I remember women's soccer definitely is.
Women's tennis, though, is really been at the forefront.
Yeah.
You know what's always been lagging behind? What has always struggled really hard is the WNBA.
WNBA. Yeah, it has.
Not now.
Well, yeah. So
not now.
I think before we talk WNBA, we have to talk about the college, right?
Yeah.
Because the college, the whole Caitlin Clark thing just blew up. Like, she became just a fantastic. She broke a bunch of records.
Yeah.
And like I think the rivalry between her, Caitlin Clark, and Angel Reese, who's on LSU.
LSU.
Yeah,
LSU.
I think
Angel Reese, great player too.
Great player, blew up. Like you got to have a good rivalry, right?
Well,
someone to combat each other.
And Caitlin Clark is just a superstar. Like she just was.
Superstar didn't win a ring, but
Well, you don't get rings in college.
You get whatever. They won the.
It's not a ring.
It's not a ring? In college. I remember Angel Reese pointed to her finger.
Sure. Maybe they get a
controversial
ring. Nobody
celebration.
fucking cares if they get a ring in college.
So they got
a championship. That's what it is.
Yeah, I always hated college basketball, men's and women's. I hate college basketball.
But you know what? This year, the women's tournament was compelling.
Very compelling.
It really was. The men's.
So I didn't really watch it because I was at work
You
most of
didn't
the
really
time.
watched it?
Watched it, you know,
didn't-
because I was at work most of the time that the games were on. But I always was excited to see the highlights, and usually when the highlights come on, whether it's Sports Center, whether it's the talk shows, I just fast forward it. I don't want to hear it. But this time around, I was like, okay, let's check it out. Let's see what's going on. You know, I think star power is a real thing when it comes to men's and women's. You know, you got to have some sort of star power.
There's a magnetism there.
And it helps when a sports channel actually gives coverage to it.
Of course.
You know?
Of
gives
course.
decent, really good coverage.
That's the thing, and that's one of the things that always hurt the WNBA, right? That's one of the things that, if you want to go back in history, something like the XFL, for example, that's one of the things that hurt the first iteration because they had great promotion to start.
Great promotion.
But then maintaining that was difficult because they weren't getting coverage from ESPN.
Yeah.
That's it. That's one of the major things that sunk the league, along with a few other things. But that's one of the major things is you can't gain traction if the worldwide leader, the mothership, is not covering you. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, for example, she's a champion of the worldwide leader, the mothership, right? So that makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
There's a magnetism that comes with star power, right? That comes with electric play. You know, that when you see her shoot, when you see the Steph Curry style stuff that she does, there's a magnetism and excitement there. Even if some of it is kind of manufactured by the media coverage, there's only so much of it can be manufactured because then you watch it and the excitement is there. So the perfect example, you know how many WNBA games I've watched in my life in full?
In full? This is where I'm at.
Donut.
Yeah.
Until her debut game.
You watched it, huh?
I did.
Yeah.
I was in my hotel room. It's
Yeah.
like I gotta go to bed early these days because I work late at night. So I was in my hotel room.
Yeah.
I need some sports on the TV because that's what I always have on the TV in the background. Sports.
Yeah.
I believe it was Game 5 of the Knicks Pacers. I had on Caitlin Clark's debut WNBA game instead of Game 5 of Knicks Pacers.
There you go. See, that's what star power does, and just
I kind of like it was just like this is like an event that you had to see, and I I do not watch the WNBA, and not because I don't want to see women's sports, but the WNBA is just always kind of lagged behind. I've watched women's tennis,
Yeah.
you know, I've watched the Wimbledon championships. I've watched there's these sports that have had excitement and magnetism where women have been involved. WNBA just never quite registered.
So-
I've liked certain athletes in WNBA. I've always really liked Candace Parker. I followed her college career at the time. When she got into the WNBA, it was kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like really. I almost kind of enjoy her better on television as a commentator than I really followed her career that much in the WNBA. The WNBA just always struggled with promotion. It really did. It struggled so hard.
And I think now, especially with the new crop of talent that came in, like you had those, I think, 2 from LSU.
The fucking draft.
The draft.
Okay,
was
when was the last time you paid attention to the WNBA draft?
Never.
And never is putting it lightly.
Yeah.
Like we didn't even know there was a fucking draft.
So I think,
like for all we knew, they just kind of like players just kind of went whatever.
So-
they were just signed by teams. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the WNBA draft got national audience, got national televised audience, got ratings, and made us all pay attention.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Mostly because of Caitlin Clark. Yes. She looked great, by the way. And I just gotta shout out to Caitlin Clark because like she looked great, but so did all the rest of them. And like you just see this, and it's like, okay, what have I been missing here? I feel like this is something that I've just never paid attention to.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of palpable that once you have star power, not just Caitlin Clark, but the other women that were there, they're all great players, and like that was a very fruitful WNBA draft, which you don't. See that every year. Obviously, next year is not going to be like that. But I mean, the point is, there's a lot of great players coming into the league, and if they can catch lightning in a bottle and promote it properly, they already have a built-in kind of weapon, so to speak, with Caitlin Clark, but they have a lot of other players to highlight as well. And it's not just Angel Reese; it's other ones as well.
Timer's up, but we'll go a little bit over the horn.
Steve, do me a favor.
What?
Turn the fucking sound off.
No,
or make it like a buzzer or something.
Buzzer?
Not that. Whatever the fuck that was.
That was the arcade buzzer.
Okay.
Arcade.
Whatever the fuck that was.
No.
Yeah, let's not have that again. Okay, let's not have that again.
We spoil it, but. Before we move on to the next topic,
10 minutes on Caitlin Clark. What do you think?
We're excited for women's sports. You know, we're happy that they're getting their just due.
Honestly, like
and getting more promotion.
To me, it's the fact that the WNBA, which has been around so long, and it's always been kind of like an eye roll type thing. Not because it's women's sports, but just because it's just never been that compelling. The NBA has never found a way to promote it correctly. I think. Even when they had stars, even when they had Lisa Leslie and Candace Parker and so many great stars, but they just never found a way to make it compelling. And all of a sudden now they just kind of have it. I don't know.
I think social media helps, and rivalries help, because I definitely want to see Clayton Clark and Angel Reese, go at it in WNBA. I think those two are gonna be just a great. It's gonna be like LeBron and Steph, that type of fucking feel to it. It's going to be exciting. You can't wait for them to play each other. Maybe go in the playoffs or something like that. They play like 32.
Here's the thing:
it's
like all of a sudden we're like interested in the WNBA playoffs. By the way, Caitlin Clark's team, the Fever, isn't going to make the playoffs this year because they're terrible.
They're not a good team.
They're going to have to retool for next year so that we can get her into the playoffs.
The Chicago team though might be pretty good. I forget what their team name is though. Chicago, what was it? You think? I don't remember either.
We're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet, knowing all the WNBA team names.
We'll get there.
We're early in this venture.
Yeah.
Someday.
I try to remember what my next topic is here that we're doing.